Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. Today, as like most days, I've got a fellow round of compatriots here to break down the latest and greatest news in the MMA world and talk a little bit of shit, give our perspectives, and let you folks know what we think about this weekend's upcoming UFC 238 event in Chicago. So before we get too deep into it, let's take a walk around real quick. First off, the young gunner, the stunner, the up-and-comer, RJ, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. It's good to finally be back in this shit on a Thursday. And I finally got a computer set up ready to go. So, no longer on a mobile, son.
Moving on up. Nice. Thank you for being here, brother. Can't wait to get into it with you here. And then across the octagon, as it were, from the young man we were just talking to, my Wednesday night homeboy, my brother from another mother, TJ. How the fuck are you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. Ready to get into it. Let's talk some shit.
So, as it were, we're going to take a start right at the top like we like to do. We're going to jump into a quick little segment of news and recent events, break down some recent happenings, some fight announcements, some overall interesting facts, as it were, in the MMA world that have taken place since the last time we have seen you beautiful people. Let's start at the top. This last week has brought us a fuckload of retirement announcements. And there are a couple of majorly noteworthy ones that I want to take just a second to mention here. First and foremost, Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson. Hats the fuck off to you, sir. I hate to say I told you so, but he talked about it early on. We've talked about it early on. It was almost like it was a foreseeable event that if he lost to Anthony Smith, that he was going to hang him up. And not only did he lose to Anthony Smith, he lost to Anthony Smith in pretty spectacular fashion. That was a pretty dominating finish if ever there was one in such a situation here. So hats definitely off to him. I could not wish Gus more luck in the next chapter of his life. He's got a beautiful family. He's got the love of his whole fucking country. I have no doubt that that man is going to be absolutely fine in the next chapter of his life. It is just a little sad to see him hang it up, though. The next one we're going to talk about here shortly before that, Jimmy Manuwa announced that he is retiring as well. And after that head kick KO from Rakic, holy shit. And that's another one here. Jimmy Manuwa had a hell of a fucking career. And I don't want it to come off sounding mean, but the best way that I can accurately describe Jimmy Manuwa, in my opinion, is that when he was in a smaller pond, my God, was that motherfucker a great white shark, and he was chewing ass left and right. But it seems like once they brought him to the UFC, it was just a little bit too late into his career, and he became that small fish in a bigger pond, and it just was a little bit too much. And, you know, good for Jimmy. He's still got his wits about him. He's still got a good head on his shoulders. I'm sure he's going to be fine in the next chapter of his career as well. And then there is one more that I want to talk about here. It was just announced, I believe, day before yesterday. King Mo has announced that he is also going to be retiring, that he actually has cited a different reason than both Gustafsson and Manuwa did, in that King Mo has said that due to the physical damage that he has taken through the years of fighting and wrestling and just the massive martial arts and combat sport career that he has had throughout his life, he has taken so much physical damage on that now he has a problem running and jogging and closing his hands all the way, and he's starting to have like significant and realistic physical problems from the years of fighting and grappling and whatnot, and he's hanging it up because he physically just can't do it anymore. So, you know, again, hats off. That is abso-fucking-lutely going out on your shield. That man literally gave everything he could to the fighting world to the point where he can't physically do it anymore. And that is literally the definition of as much as you can possibly fucking give. So hats off to Mo as well. I'm sure that he will be just fine in the second half of his career as well, because he, as most of the gentlemen we've talked about here, has more than enough accolades and more than enough, renown in the world that he will surely be able to find something that will hold himself through the next chapter on his life. Moving on to the next interesting little piece of news here. Invicta 35 is also coming up this weekend, and they had one hell of a weigh-in session as not one, not two, 3 different women missed weight by multiple pounds during their weigh-in session today in an unprecedented, oh shit. So, I mean, I have no doubt the event is still going to manage to be interesting as hell, because there are some very, very good lineups on those cards, or on that card as well, rather. But oof, does that look bad for a promotion when you have that many fighters coming into a single event missing weight by a clear amount? And then on the other side of that, in weight missing news, one of the gentlemen making his debut into the PFL in the next upcoming event this weekend missed weight in the light heavyweight division by coming in at 212.8 pounds on the scale. So, 'tis the season for missing weight. Here's to hoping we don't have that happen on Saturday's UFC card with any of the big fucking fights that we are about to talk about in just a little bit. Because, as you can tell, the bug seems to be going around for not hitting your fucking weight goals this weekend. Next little interesting tidbit I'm going to mention here real quick. Kevin Lee did one of the special MMA episodes of JRE with Joe Rogan this week. And unsurprisingly, he's still a whiny bitch, and I still have no faith in the future of his career. Next piece of news I want to move on to. Just announced John Hands of Stone Lineker rematching versus Rob Font to take over as the new headlining fight for the UFC Greenville card. That is going to be an interesting fucking fight, because Lineker has seemed to be back on his shit lately. But which Rob Font is going to show up? Because now it seems like Rob Font has caught that John Lineker case of the flukes lately. Is he hot? Is he cold? Which fucking guy are we going to see? And now this is for a fucking main event. This is the headline. You better get your fucking big boy panties on, because you're carrying the fucking show, and this is a rematch. So this puts a lot of fucking weight on your shoulders, Rob. Let's see what fucking happens here. I think it's going to be an interesting fucking fight. Next little piece of interesting news here, just announced Tuesday. Rowdy Beck Rawling, after being released from the UFC and then making a hell of a splash in the women's side of the bare knuckle boxing event circulation that has started to make its popularity a little more prominent, has announced this week that she is now leaving the bare knuckle world and has signed with Bellator. She will be coming after the ladies' belt in Bellator in the rest of the the later part of the 2019 year. So that will be interesting to keep an eye on as well, because Bellator, I'm not going to say they don't really have a women's MMA program per se, because McFarlane is a fucking beast over there, and she's a 10th planet beast, so that's not getting upset anytime soon without some serious fucking momentum. But at the same time, McFarlane is really the only women's champion that Bellator is kind of known for right now. So I think if Rawlings goes over there and doesn't go into McFarlane's division, she might be able to take over one of those infamous spots, or just not as famous spots that would be available right now. Take over a championship, get your fucking name out there with some gold around it, and maybe build your reputation back up and be a hot ticket item that she, sought to be in the UFC and just never quite realized. You never know, but it's definitely going to be something that you're going to want to keep your eyes out, in my opinion, on. So, next little interesting tidbit here. During a presser segment this week in Chicago for the upcoming event, asked about something, ironically, that he always gets asked about at every fucking press event now here, that has nothing to do with the event, the possibility of the Khabib-Conor rematch coming up after Dustin and Khabib fight. Dana's answer, unflinching and almost immediately, absolutely there is a 100% realistic possibility that Conor and Khabib are going to get a rematch after the Dustin and Khabib fight happens. So, regardless of what any of the rest of us seem to fucking want, or any of the rest of the fighters seem to want, as much as it pains me as a fucking McGregor fan, this is just getting a little fucking much at this point now. Like, come the fuck on.
Look, I need to step in here. Dana White, you're being a dumb fuck again. There's two things that should have happened long before that. One, nothing against this person at all. Tony Ferguson should not be fighting Cerrone right now.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Two, McGregor does not deserve a rematch. I love McGregor just as much as the next guy. I love the way he talks trash, the way he carries himself, the way he fights anybody, whatever. That's fantastic. The person who should be fighting Khabib, or the winner of Poirier right now, should be Cerrone. He shouldn't even be in this fucking fight. Or he should be fighting Conor because he called for it. And right now, his stock is fucking high. He's looking fantastic. He deserved all that. Dana, please don't make that fight. If you make that as the winner of that fight, I'm half tempted to not watch that card. Just purely on that fight alone because it's fucking retarded. We all know it's going to happen. The Dagestani wrestle fuck is going to wrestle fuck the shit out of Conor again because there's no amount of training in the world that can prepare him for that.
Yep. Yeah, I agree completely. This is not a McGregor-Diaz situation where he's going up to 170, where he's not acclimated. He's never fucking fought there before. This was a 155 fucking battle that they fought. This was Conor's fucking, diminutive territory that he claimed, 155, because he didn't want to go back to 45. So he made his home at 55. This wasn't a Diaz situation where he was stepping up to a class he'd never been in before and he wanted to run it back and see if he could fucking do it the right way a second time. This is 155. This was Conor's land. He got beat. He got beat, definitively by being wrestle fucked, the way that Khabib can only do to anyone. But I agree completely. This is not a situation where Conor gets an immediate fucking rematch. I think that Conor should either have fought Cowboy, or he needs to fucking wait until the Cowboy situation shakes itself out at the top of the fucking stack. Maybe fight Tony in the fucking meanwhile. I agree completely. I think Conor versus Tony and Cowboy getting the winner of Dustin and fucking Khabib is the right way that the UFC should have fucking gone. I don't agree with how they're playing this out. I don't think Dustin should be fighting Khabib to begin with. I sure the fuck don't think that Cowboy and Tony Ferguson should be fucking fighting either. But Dana, Sean Shelby, and fucking Mick Maynard have some strange fucking ideas sometimes, it seems. We'll have to see how this whole situation shakes out. But moving along from there to the next interesting little tidbit of news that I want to make a mention of real quick. Leslie Smith, another former UFC ladies MMA side here star, is going to be making her debut in Bellator 224 coming up. So that is going to be something interesting to watch because she is another one of those that, wasn't necessarily terrible in the UFC, just never quite, possibly hit her stride or got where she ultimately wanted to be. Doesn't necessarily mean that she didn't have what it takes to get to the top in a different organization like a Bellator, like we were just talking about. Just means that she never realized that potential in the UFC. And like I said, making that jump over to Bellator might be just what she needed to spark that run up towards a shot at gold, just like Beck Rawlings is going to try and do over there as well. So, we'll have to watch that one play out as well. Next set of fight announcements that I want to talk about real quick because, oh shit, are both of these going to be interesting as fuck, but for very different reasons. James Vick versus Dan Hooker and Andrei Arlovsky versus Ben Rothwell 2 both have now been officially confirmed and added to the UFC San Antonio Fight Night card. That is a pair of very, very interesting bouts for very, very different reasons. James Vick and what he's trying to do with his striking versus the glassness of his fucking chin versus Dan Hooker and his undeniable tenacity and fucking toughness and his hard-kicking style, almost Young Barboza-like, is going to be a great fireworks-style matchup, whereas on the other side, you've got both Rothwell and Arlovsky are quickly heading, both of them, towards their retirement announcement being the one that we talk about during the news and recent events segment. Arlovsky may be a little bit ahead of Rothwell, but either way, This is not a fight that I am excited to see because it's going to be starstruck or it's going to be a big fucking banger. This is one that I'm excited to see just so that we can get a definitive notion of which one of these gentlemen needs to get a wheelchair ready for him first, because these are two gentlemen who are both large and have a long known history of banging the fuck out in brutal wars, setting their body's detriment to the fucking side. And that catches up with big guys much, much more than it does with the smaller guys as they get older. And neither one of these gentlemen are spring chicken anymore. So this is very, very possibly Arlovsky's last fight. If you look at it from, you know, an optimistic point of view, realistically, he doesn't have a whole lot left in him. He's never going to see another run at gold. He's getting a rematch against a guy that no one really wanted to see him get a rematch against on a fucking fight night card. This could be the swan song for Arlovsky, so that's why I'm interested to see how that fight plays out. Moving along from that to another less happy piece of news that needs to be mentioned real quick. It was announced Wednesday of this week that Paige Van Zandt is out on the injured reserve list once again because she is now going to have to undergo a third surgery in a row on the arm that she broke in that fight, because once again it has not taken and there have been complications and it's going to have to be operated on for a fucking third time in a row. And I don't care what the fuck you think about Paige Van Zandt's fighting style, just as a fucking person you have got to fucking feel for her at this point, because all this girl wants to do is work. All she wants to do is fucking fight or commentate or both. And at this point, this one fucking broken arm is preventing her from doing any of that or just having a fucking regular life at this point. And you just gotta fucking feel bad for her at this point. And, you know, you gotta wish her a speedy recovery. And hopefully this one, third time's a charm, everything gets set straight, because, man, that's fucking brutal. That really is fucking brutal. And speaking of fucking brutal, the next little tidbit that I want to take a second to talk about here, Andrea Lee and her husband have a very unique relationship and situation. And I'm not going to go into the details. If you don't know the situation with Andrea Lee and her husband, I implore you, take 5 seconds, pause this video right now, pull up your Google machine, type it in. You'll find more than enough articles. And holy shit, boys and girls, there is a bucket of batshit crazy spilled all over these two. And it's officially been announced last night that Andrea Lee's husband, after a 9-month flee, has been arrested. So they got him. That's going to be interesting to see how that situation unfolds. And I'm telling you right now, if you think I'm joking, please, I am not. I am willing to give you all the time. Pause this video right now and go Google that shit, because this fucking story is just batshit. But moving on from there, GSP announced this week that he has officially been made an offer by the WWE, just like all of the other aging UFC stars making transition towards WWE, as it were. Cain Velasquez is going over. Daniel Cormier is going to be going over. Several other fighters are starting to make their way over to the UFC, just like Ronda did. GSP, though, made it very clear that he would only be open to doing a guest spot or a highlight spot where he comes in for an evening, does a skit or something like that, and goes on. He has zero interest in becoming a fucking professional wrestler. That is not ever on his plate, he says. He has respect for them, but it will not ever be a career that he pursues. So we can all let that collective sigh out. We don't have to worry about GSP going wrestling on us big time. So there's that. An interesting side piece to something that may or may not tie right into that, if you know some of the backstories of the wrestling world, John Gotti III this week got his 4th beautiful victory win. He is now 4-0 in his professional mixed martial arts career, and in doing some press after that win has said that he understands that because of his name and because he now, still has an undefeated record, that there may be a lot of pressure from outside influences to try and get him into the UFC, thinking that hype may carry him and, try and help jump him up into a little rank of more status predominantly real quickly. And he very intelligently. I was very happy to hear. Said, no, I have no interest in doing that. I don't want my name to carry me anywhere, and I have no rush to get to the UFC. I want to earn my way there if I get there, but that's not my ultimate goal. I'm doing this because this is what I want to do. If I make it to the UFC, I'll get there when I'm meant to. Be still my fucking beating heart, an intelligent mixed martial artist who's Gotti's grandson. The irony is palpable, I tell you. But good on you. And watching his fight, he's got some fucking potential, man. He's not great, but he's young, and he's just getting into it, and he's unrefined. Look at the raw talent. Look at the potential. There's some fucking possibility there. I'm telling you right now, there's some possibility with that gentleman. So from there, there's just one more thing that I want to take a moment to talk about here real quick. And that is, as a big man myself, I don't know a moment in recent history where I've had more pride just exuding from my fucking bigness as I did this past weekend when Andy Ruiz Jr. put Anthony Joshua on the fucking canvas in such spectacular fashion so many times that my jaw was quite literally agape for multiple minutes, and I, of all fucking people, was rendered speechless. He decimated and destroyed, Wink Destroyer, Anthony Joshua. It was absolutely spectacular to see him do that with all the hype coming into this fight, with all the talk of Andy Ruiz just being another soup can getting thrown into Joshua to feed his fucking record and try and give him more boost to try and call out Fury or Wilder. And here comes Andy Ruiz walking in confident as ever. As soon as he gets in the fucking ring, not a doubt in his mind, fucking beer gut on display, not a fuck given, and he put in work. He was throwing beautiful combinations. He was dipping and dodging. He was fucking countering with beautiful precision, and he made Anthony Joshua look like a fucking rookie. You would never know Anthony Joshua had the resume that he does the way that Andy Ruiz fucking worked him this last weekend. And it just made me gleam just a little bit brighter watching that big man put to fucking work that hype train that had been so heavily invested in by so much. And you saw so much press from Joshua completely overlooking Ruiz, just thinking of what the victory is going to help him do in the future of his plans. And it's like we always say, the fight you're getting into next is the most important one that you need to focus on. Nothing further than that, because that one's the most important. And when you overlook that one, it tends to bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what fucking happened here. Joshua had literally glanced over Ruiz from the beginning, and look where it got him.
You know what's funny about that fight?
Everything.
Look, I'm not taking away anything from AJ there at all. He's a fantastic fighter. However, he did not fight to his ability that night. What he was doing, he was backing up the entire fight.
Yep, he was trying to back up and try and catch him on the backslide.
You can't do that in boxing. It's not MMA, so you don't have access to a kick or something, or throwing a takedown. Yeah, you see a lot of fighters in the UFC do that, and it works because you have those other options available to you. But in boxing, no. The only person that I could similarly say did that and did it phenomenally well to actually back away, and I can't even say back away, he out-circled him. Muhammad Ali, he was that person.
Yeah.
He was a counter fighter.
Offstep.
But Joshua's not a counter fighter. But what the one thing that he doesn't have that Ruiz does, fantastic fucking combinations. That dude throws combinations just amazingly. Joshua's not that fighter. So he just walked his ass down, stomped the mud hole in him, and walked it dry.
Yep. And
way to go for the dad bods.
I have to just take a moment here and give a huge fucking shout out to Ray Rod. I believe it's either Ray Rod 74 or Ray Rod 47. I don't remember which, and I apologize, for one of the funniest fucking animation edits I have ever seen in my fucking life. If you have not seen it, Google that shit. It is a beautiful animation. When Ruiz hits Joshua, his fucking soul leaves his body, walks out of the arena, grabs his suitcase, gets to the airport, gets on a British Airways plane, and flies to fuck home while his body is getting counted by the ref. It is fucking spectacular. It has gone viral at this point, and I encourage you to watch it if you have not seen it yet. A million different people have started to repost it with different music playing over the top of a different, commentary over it. It's just a hilarious fucking video, and mad props to that gentleman. He is incredibly fucking talented. But that is going to be all that we have got for the news and recent events segment. So that will bring us to meat and potatoes of the evening, the very reason that we are doing a show about this weekend. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, UFC 238, Moraes Vs CRINGEjudo, going down in the Windy City, my fucking hometown, Chicago. So this might possibly be the most evenly stacked card the UFC has presented in 2019 so far. Granted, just like every other fucking card we have seen this year, there is just a little bit of filler on it. But on this card of all cards, they have minimized the filler, and I am very grateful for that. We have possibly got more fights to talk about on this card than we have on any other card in 2019. So let's jump right the fuck into it here. We are going to start at the very tippy fucking top at the early prelims, the opening fight of the fucking evening, ladies and gentlemen. Katlyn Chookagian versus Joanne Calderwood. They are bringing the heat right out the gate. The first fight of the evening is going to be fucking fireworks. These two ladies are both very explosive, and they are both very fast-paced fighters. They both have very good ground game. They both have very good grappling. And this is going to be one of those situations where you're going to have to see if the empty stadium, because when you talk about literally the first fight of the night, there's generally a whole lot of empty seats. So you got to see if that empty stadium is going to have an effect on which one of these ladies is able to get their will imposed first and strongest here. Now, in this particular situation, I have nothing against either one of these ladies. I like both of their styles. I think they both have very good potential coming up in this division here. But I think that Katlyn Chookagian is just too strong here. I think she's just too much bigger than Calderwood. I think she's just got a little bit too much more muscle. I think she's just going to be able to put a little bit more of her game plan in play. And I think she's going to be able to take this victory here. What do you guys think about this one?
I think you very well could be right on this. However, I don't, because... well, let me start here. Look at where both of these fighters are ranked. What the fuck are they doing as the first fight of the night on the goddamn card? There's no reason they should be starting the card out. They could be, maybe, if you want to throw a highlight fight on the early prelims, this is the one to do it with. But not the first fight of the early prelims. But anyhow, that aside, I don't think the empty stadium is going to make a difference to either one of them. They're both fantastic fighters. They started in the empty stadiums. They know what they're doing. They've been there before. Oh, kicker on this one is I want to know how is Chookagian going to come back from her last loss there, because she's coming off a loss. And is she going to fall into that same mentality of, can I win again? Or is she going to come out there and just do what she does? And if she does that, JoJo's going to have a really rough night. However, if she does fall into that mentality of, well, can I win again? And Calderwood's got a fantastic fucking chance to fucking take her out if she's in the wrong mindset when she comes out there. To be honest, I really can't pick a winner for this fight because I think it's all going to depend on the mentality of how Chookagian comes out.
I don't know, man. Fucking Calderwood. Katlyn is just big as fuck. She's way more muscle on her body than fucking Calderwood has. But Calderwood, she has some good ass striking and takedown game. So if she could just put a solid game plan together, come in, come out, and fucking get some takedown defense and push the fuck out of her and just gas her out in the first round. Second round, she could start putting a hardcore game plan together, getting Caitlin on the ground and putting some serious damage to her. Because Calderwood has a decent fucking takedown game, decent ground game under her belt. So I'm going to have to go with good old Joanne over here on this one.
Very interesting. Very interesting. It's going to be, that's what I said. I'm happy for this fight. I agree with TJ. I don't understand putting this fight first when there is going to be that empty stadium. When this is going to be a fight you definitely want fucking eyeballs on. And I am absolutely going to make a point to make sure that I have got all my I's dotted, my T's crossed long before this fight actually starts so that I am ready to go and don't miss a second of this because you're not going to want to. I can fucking promise you that one. This is going to be a good fight. And I don't understand it being opening, but that's where they put it, and I'm going to fucking watch it. You should too. Now, one more fight that is, I'll call it an honorable mention fight. There are two other fights on the early prelims that are absolute filler. They belong on the early prelims. I'm 100% okay with them. And then there is the, what they're calling the premiere or the highlight fight of the early prelims, the final fight before they change to the prelim card. That's their new role, as it were. Every card gets its premiere or highlight main card or main event, if you were. The one for the early prelims for this Saturday, is Yan Xiaonan versus Angela Hill. Now, I will be the first to say that I pretty much wrote Angela Hill off last time we saw her coming out, and she absolutely surprised me. I'm not going to say that her performance was spectacular. I'm not going to say that she completely changed my fucking mind, but she absolutely shut me up and she proved me wrong. She did come out and get that W, and I fully anticipated her to catch that L and go home crying. So, bad on me, good on you. I will admit when I was wrong. I absolutely was. This particular time, though, Yan is one of those up-and-coming prospects that I think they're starting to get a little more strategic when they're letting these prospects into the UFC lately. Because at one point in time, they almost fed these fucking guys and girls to the wolves. They would throw these prospects in against high, like top 10 or like around 10 ranked people to where if you make it, you're a name. And if not, get to the back of the fucking line, kid, kick rocks. You ain't ready for this shit yet. But they're starting to ease these prospects in a little easier now. And it's starting to get to a point where when we see these people like a Peter Yan, like a Zhao Yang, we're seeing some serious fucking potential that's ready to come up to the fucking level when they're getting brought in. And from the hype that's coming around behind Yan here, she might be one of those that's coming in as a sleeper, as a dark horse that people aren't really anticipating. And Angela Hill, as we all well and know, is a case of the hot and colds, predominantly cold. I'm not going to say that this was one that I wanted to spend a lot of time talking about, but I feel like this is one of those situations where the prospect is going to come in and shake it up a little bit, and I think Angela Hill is going to come home with that L this weekend
here. I don't even know what to add to that because Angela Hill for me, she is the fighter that is like having a fucking lukewarm bath. You know you need to get clean, but you really don't want it to be in that kind of water. And within 2 seconds of being in there, it's fucking cold. She's that person. Yes, every once in a while you get in, and those waters are going to stay warm for a minute or two, maybe 15. But she has not proved anything to make me believe in her yet. Yeah, she did prove people wrong on her last outing, but that's still not enough for me. I'm saying, Yan, she's going to come in here and tear her ass up. Angela Hill, sorry. Glad you got a paycheck. Happy to see you leave.
Yeah, man. I really can't add much to that. I can't add much. Angela has had her few good fights whenever she comes in, has that mindset right. But other than that, she is I don't want to say a walk in the park, but she's not much of a barn burner to say the least. Yan all day because Angela, you're just not making enough. You're just not doing enough to back up your stock for this fucking company currently.
No, and to be quite honest, I like where your head's at on this one. I think if she doesn't win this fight, they ought to be cutting her, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
She's had more of a cold streak than anything. She needs to put the guy up. If she really wants to stay with this, she needs to string 2-3 more wins together just to show that it's worth it. Show that your game's evolved a little bit because it really doesn't look like it. It looks like you're training out of fucking backwaters, barn, fucking rehab and garage facility. You're not getting anywhere. So, do us a favor, string a couple more together. If you want your stock to rise, then we'll start talking about you again. Until then, there's the deuces. Bye.
Well, and especially during cut season, like we were talking about in the last episode of the one before, the UFC just cut Elias Theodorou after a single loss. Just fucking one. And Elias Theodorou is a fucking exciting fighter with fucking great toolbox. The guy is always exciting to fucking watch. He had one loss, and it wasn't like a fucking, devastating loss. It was a close defeat, and they fucking cut him. So how Angela Hill is going to stay around if she gets beat by this fucking prospect, I will not be able to fucking comprehend.
I think the only reason why they would keep her is because the women's divisions are still pretty light when it comes to the fighter stable.
They're a little thin.
So I'm guessing as they build their stable a little bit more and they get some more women in that division, that's when they'll start doing those quick cuts. I mean, Theodorou, look at how stacked that division is that he fights in.
Yeah, it is.
That one's deep, so I can see where they came from on that one, because if you're not putting up fucking numbers, it's an easy way to cut when you got a deep stack division.
Yeah, I agree. But moving along from there, that will bring us into the actual prelim card. And for once, every fucking fight on this prelim card, I am 100% okay with. I agree with the placement. There's only 4 fights on this prelim card, and I think that all 4 of them are perfectly placed because this, as we've discussed before, is the point where the vast majority of the crowd has started to settle into their seats. The people are there. The butts are in the spots. The eyes are on you. The lights, the glitz, the glamour, the noise is there. It's that atmosphere of the fight that you think typically when you think of a UFC event. That's the point where we're talking about here, and they are kicking it off with just another, oh shit, kind of fireworks, keep your eyes peeled kind of fights. We are talking the first fight here about Ricardo Lamas versus Calvin Kattar. Kattar, everybody pronounces it fucking different. I apologize. I'm going with Kattar. Now, this is going to be an interesting fight because Ricardo Lamas has been training his motherfucking ass off. And he is quick. He is lean. But Calvin Kattar is fucking strong. That young man is fucking yoked. And he's going to be able to put that strength down to minimize the speed of Lamas, I think. Lamas is going to come in and he's going to be wiry, but I think just the overall power that Calvin is going to bring to this fight is going to make the difference here. I think he is going to be able to physically impose his will and determine where this fight goes much more than Lamas's game plan, because Ricardo Lamas has a fucking great fight IQ. That gentleman is smart as shit. But IQ does not always work out in your favor against a guy who is just flat out stronger than you in mixed martial arts. It's just the way of the fucking road. Smarter doesn't always mean better when the guy's that much stronger. And I feel that this is one of those situations that, aside from the great toolbox, the great flexibility, the great overall tool set in overall status that Calvin has, I think his strength alone is going to make the determining factor in this fight. I think that he is going to defeat Lamas in the second.
Ooh, that's a pretty tall task. This is why I'm saying this, because I'm not taking anything away from Calvin at all. He is one yoked motherfucker. But the bully The bully has been around. He's been around in the UFC for quite some time. He's got something Calvin does not. He has the experience. And when I say experience, I'm not saying that Calvin hasn't had previous fights, because you look at his overall MMA record, it's pretty solid. But that's different type of experience versus UFC experience where you're fighting the elite of the elite. What I think this is actually going to come down to is, does Ricardo Lamas's fight IQ and his experience hold up, or is he going to get clipped? To be honest, I think this ends up going Ricardo's way purely on the fact of his experience and his fight IQ, but I'm leaning more towards his experience getting him through this, because he's dealt with big yoked fighters before. So he knows what to do with them. I think it's just a matter of whether he gets clipped or not. I'm saying Ricardo takes this fight, but it's going to end up being a decision, because I think he'll end up gassing Calvin out, just purely because all them muscles means a lot more oxygen wasted. So I say it's going to go to decision. Lamas gets the victory.
See, you know, this is one of those fights where I can't decide a winner, because putting everything that was just said, their experience, their record, their fighting styles, they both have a lot in both of their corners. Ricardo has experience, he has a really good fight IQ, but fucking Calvin, dude is fucking outrageous. The fucking knockout power, his fucking takedown defense, pretty solid. And he's not an old guy, but he's a bit younger than Ricardo, if my memory serves me right. I just can't pick this, because they just have so much going for each of them. I would like to see Ricardo walk away with it, but then again, I just can't.
I can understand it. That's what I said. This isn't going to be an easy fight on either way it goes. And I can absolutely see TJ's point of view. If Ricardo can get around that power and wear out those big muscles that absolutely have an impact on your cardio and your durability, then there is absolutely every possibility that Ricardo can just drag him to 3 and take it by a fucking decision. I can absolutely see that possibility as well. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one. Now, the next fight we're going to talk about here, this one is a little more interesting, and I understand why the UFC made this fight. I don't exactly agree with it, but I understand why they made this fight, and I think it's going to work out the way that the UFC wanted it to, whichever way that this one plays here. That we'll be talking about here, Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Alexa Grasso. Now, this is another one of the situations like we were talking about earlier with Angela Hill. Alexa Grasso is one of the new up-and-coming prospects here. She's got a real big hype train behind her. Excuse me. She's got a real big name carrying her into the UFC, but she's still very young in terms of her fighting career in the UFC. Whereas on the other side of this, we have got a seasoned veteran in Karolina who has... I fucking love Karolina, but damn if she has not had some fucking rocky ups and downs lately. She has had moments where she shines spectacularly, and she has had some fucking brutal KOs laid out on her at the same time. So it's hard to tell which Karolina we're going to get here, and it's not that she's fluky like some of the other hot and cold fighters we're talking about here. It's just come to a point where you got to start to question Karolina's chin at this point. She's got a great tool set. She's got a good fight IQ, but it just seems like, to be fair, it's not that she's had her fights strung together so close after those knockouts to where you see a degradation of the chin like some of the male fighters we've seen where they get fucking KO'd and then are back in the ring a couple weeks later and get KO'd again because that fucking chin has not had time to recover and your brain's still a bowl of fucking chicken noodle soup. it's not that situation with Carolina. She's taken all the proper time. She's recovered properly. She's been medically cleared for everything. It just doesn't seem like her chin is where it was when she first came into the UFC, because she was a fucking tank when she first started. I love a fellow Polak. Damn it, I want to see her do fucking well, but you got to worry about the quality of that fucking chin that she's got. And Alexa Grasso, not to feed into that hype train, but if you watch her fucking footage, the girl is good. She's determined. She's fucking steady. She's ever present. She puts a serious fucking pressure on, and she keeps a steady pace. She puts a hard pace. I would absolutely akin her to a female Max Holloway. The pace that she fucking sets is something that most fighters that you've put her against and you see her against just can't fucking handle. And I'm worried that up against Carolina, whose chin is questionable, even if Alexa is not putting a lot of power against her, if she can string together enough of a combination or enough steady combinations on an off-time axis, land enough shots, all it takes is the right one to turn that fucking button. Once you start losing that chin, it doesn't come back and it doesn't get better. Look at Chuck, man. Everybody loves Chuck. But the second that motherfucker started getting KO'd, even when he took more than enough fucking time to recover, the next time he got in the ring, he got KO'd with something even less than the one that was before it, something that shouldn't have fucking touched him in his fucking heydays. And it seems like Carolina's starting to enter that area. But I feel that she knows, she's conscious of that. You can hear in her press that she's done. She knows that this win is more important than maybe any other win in her fucking career. And she says she's got it under control. She's confident. She is cool, calm, and collected. And, you know, call me a fucking idiot. Call me naive. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt here. I feel like the determination that this girl has got, she's a smart girl. She knows the situation that she's in. I think she has done her fucking homework. I think she is prepared. I think Carolina is going to take this, but I do think it's going to go all the way to 3. I think it's going to be a decision, but I think Carolina is going to take this and get herself, hopefully, back on the right fucking track.
Well, you asked me to call you naive. I'm going to call you naive on this one. Here's the reason behind this. 1, the chin, but 2, she's been kind of on a landslide lately, and I don't see her coming out of it. I know she says she's got it under control, but that is also like looking at a duck that's floating on a pond. Everything is calm up top, but the legs are fucking going 1,000 miles an hour. Under there, she's probably having a really rough time. And not that I can blame her. And I'm not taking anything away from Carolina. She's a fantastic fighter. She has a great tool set. However, with that chin issue, I don't think it's a matter of if. It's a matter of when Grasso catches her. Because I just don't foresee Carolina stringing it together this time. Not on the way that she's been looking lately. It's not that she hasn't looked good fighting for him, good prior to getting knocked out. It's just that there are openings that are available that everybody is seeing, which is why she keeps getting caught so many times. So if Grasso's camp is doing the right things and looking at all of those old tapes, they'll find those same holes. She'll get caught again. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. To be honest, I think that win for Grasso, because she is, like you said, more of a Max Holloway type. She doesn't throw with a lot of power, but she peppers. I think she'll end up taking this by TKO in the 3rd round.
So this is another one of those situations. Well, I love Carolina. I love her style. I love how she fights. The only way I can see her taking this is if she really has changed up her entire fucking game plan, her entire defense, and tries to get Grasso down to the ground, because Grasso does not have a huge toolbox on ground game. She has ground and pound skills, but she does not have a lot of skills defending with her ass on the mat. She doesn't have a lot of she really doesn't have a lot of that experience. That's the only way that I could see Carolina winning this, is either if her shit is completely fucking changed out, or if she can get Grosso to the ground. Other than that, Grosso is going to take this TKO KO, a late second round into the third.
Very interesting. There's absolutely, I agree completely. There's absolutely every possibility that if it goes to the ground, it's going to be a very, very different fight than it will be when it's on the feet, because on the feet, it's going to be pretty fucking explosive. But yeah, absolutely. You make a very good point. If that fight, of all the fights on this card tonight, if that fight goes to the ground, it's going to be drastically different than what it would be on the feet. So we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on that one, because that's going to be a fun fight. Regardless of who wins that one, it's going to be a fun fight. That's not going to be a fucking easy win for either one of those ladies either. So that's one of the reasons I was excited this one is on the prelim card, because I think this is definitely a good late prelim caliber fight here. So from there, we're going to move along to the next fight. This one, I'll say this. I think the matchup is decent. I don't agree with the descriptor that the UFC is using for this matchup, because in all the press they're doing, they're talking about Aljamain Sterling versus Pedro Munoz fighting this weekend being a title contender eliminator match. I don't agree that Aljamain Sterling is anywhere near title contention at this point. I think he and that belt are so far away from each other, they're not even in the same fucking zip code realistically. And I think for the fact that UFC is willing to even use his name in the same sentence as the phrase title contender is a little bit ridiculous. Now, on the other hand, I think Pedro fucking Munoz is a title contender. I think that gentleman has absolutely earned his fucking way up. And what he did to Cody, I think, is a perfect representation of why he has deserved the title contender. Aljo, not so much. And you can see that in just a highlight that they're using for this fucking fight, where One Punch Man himself, the man in the fucking main event, took his soul with that fucking head kick layout fucking knockout that he put through him and stiffened Aljo's fucking body across the mat. He never recovered from that. Anything he's done good since then has been negated by all of the repeat ass whippings he's received similar to that one, whereas Pedro, on the other hand, has basically spent that same amount of time kicking ass and taking names because he's all out of bubblegum. Like, Pedro has walked the motherfucking walk. He has talked the fucking talk, and he has walked his way to the top of the fucking stack. He just took out Cody, who was arguably the only other person realistically at the top of the stack besides Marlon and now apparently fucking Henry. What else are you going to fucking do with the guy? He deserves his goddamn shot, in my opinion. So I think in this situation, if Pedro wins, he absolutely gets the next fucking crack at the title. If Aljo wins, keep him in the top 5, but if they give Aljamain Sterling a fucking title shot off of victory with Pedro Munoz, I think it's time to riot for the fucking 135 division to get shut down, just like the 125 should be shut down at this point. It's fucking ridiculousness. Let's just let the big boys play. Let them have their own fucking organization at that point. That aside, I think Aljamain Sterling is just too fucking weak to compete with Pedro Munoz, because if you look at their styles, if you look at their abilities, if you look at the toolboxes that these gentlemen use, if you line up the checkerboards next to each other, everywhere you put a box in one, you have to put a box in the other. They both got wrestling, they both got grappling, they both got striking, they both have some jiu-jitsu. They can both take this fight anywhere. The difference that I think makes the factor in this one, much like the earlier fight we talked about with Ricardo Lamas, I think is going to be the raw fucking strength of Pedro Munoz. Build-wise, they're very similar. But Pedro carries fucking power from that fucking deep down dark place in your fucking soul that you see guys just pull that what the fuck shot out of every once in a while. Pedro taps into that shit on the fucking regular. And I think if you look at what he did to Cody, that's a prime fucking example, because we already know Aljo's going to try and make this shit wrestling. But Pedro can stop a fucking takedown. Pedro can also go to the ground and play with you, because those fucking hands and that power that he carries are dangerous anywhere at any point in this fight. I think absolutely Pedro Munoz knocks the fuck out Aljamain Sterling. I think early in the third, late in the second, but I think he's going to wear him down early on, show him that he can't get his fucking funky shit off on him, and then I think Pedro puts Aljo to sleep-o.
You know, why are they calling this a title elimination or contention spot? I don't fucking know. They, to be honest, Aljamain Sterling, I don't even know what the fucking word I want to use to describe him as right now, because I have to be somewhat decent. It's not that he's a bad fighter, but he's not to that level. Whereas Munoz definitely just going in there and he's the Wreck Express. Choo choo, all aboard, motherfucker. And when your stop's up, he's gonna let you know because he's gonna put you out. I don't think it goes into the third round at all. To be honest, I don't even think there's gonna be a wear out period. I think he's just gonna fucking flat KO him late first, middle of the second at the latest. And why in the fuck do they have Aljamain Sterling ranked above Pedro Munoz in the first place? That doesn't even make sense. I mean, look, all right, let's say this. I know Pedro is Brazilian, but he carries the same last name as another wrecking machine, the Filipino variety, and they're both knockout artists. I'm just saying, there's something with that name. That's all there is to that. But Aljamain Sterling, you need some more work, dude. It's not that you're bad, not by any means. You haven't gotten here for no reason. You haven't gotten into this fight for no reason. But for them to call it a title contender elimination bout, get the fuck out of here. Aljamain shouldn't even be in this if that was what it was. But you know what? I guess when you're digging for gold and trying to get fucking somebody to bite on it, I guess if you're feeding it to the casual fan, yeah, then it makes sense. Because they're just going to look at, oh, well, this guy's ranked this and this guy's ranked that. Of course it's a title contention elimination spot. Go fuck yourself. It's kind of like putting Conor up against Khabib a second time without letting somebody else beat his ass first. But I'm going to leave that go because I'm going to beat the fuck out of that dead horse again later, I'm sure. No, this is going to be Munoz all day. Late first, middle of second, at the latest. Fucking KO. If we're lucky, we're going to see fucking Aljamain Sterling fucking zombie again.
Okay. Now, feeding off of the how in the fuck and why is this going to be considered a title wrecking fight? And how the fuck are you going to say that when one of these fighters, I'm not going to say names, but y'all know who I'm talking about, is 99% wins are from fucking decisions? How the fuck are you going to call yourself a fucking title contender when you only have one win not from fucking decision? Get that bullshit out of here, Sterling. Do some fucking work. Get your shit together. Fucking Munoz. All day, every day. Get that bullshit out of here.
I agree. And to be fair, I will say this. Just like a certain other big bitch that I happen to personally very not care for, have much disdain for, however you would like to say. I don't like that motherfucker. I do, on the other hand, respect Aljamain Sterling as a coach much more than a fucking fighter. Because if you've watched some of the embedded, if you watch some of the behind-the-scenes shit, some of the non-glitz and glamour, non-press shit with Aljamain Sterling, that motherfucker in the gym is a great fucking coach. Same with Cormier's fat bitch Popeye's chicken eating ass. That motherfucker in the gym and on Ultimate Fighter was a legitimately good coach. You could tell honestly and genuinely gave a fuck and went out of their way, both of them, to work very hard and very personally with the people that need it and to give great advice and be a good example in the gym. Now, both of these gentlemen, on the other hand, when they get in the ring, I would love nothing better than to see either one of them bitch slap Stockton style until I can't stop laughing because my ribs won't quit cramping. But that's neither here nor there. So, moving on from that fight, that will bring us to the closing prelim fight, the premier highlight fight, as it were, on the prelim card here. That is one Tatiana Suarez versus Nina Ansaroff. This one, as well, is also being considered a title contender eliminator match. This one, on the other hand, I do a little more appreciate being considered that because mainly, in my opinion, of Tatiana Suarez. Now, excuse me, I will say this, just like with every other fighter, Nina Ansaroff is in the UFC because she has earned her way there. She does have a couple of victories under her belt. In my opinion, the hype that Nina Ansaroff has right now is more so because of the fact that she is Amanda Nunes's wife than because of her accolades in the octagon. Yes, she has W's, but are they pretty? Fuck no. Are they well earned? Fuck no. Is she great? Not even fucking close. Does she have the W's though? Yes, she does. So I get that part of considering her this one half of the title contender eliminator series. On the other hand, Tatiana fucking Suarez is a one-woman wrecking crew coming through that fucking ladies division right now with a serious fucking momentum behind her. And I think realistically, the power and the grappling ability that this young lady brings into this division is going to be a very serious problem for a lot of the ladies they're going to put her up against. And I think this fight against Nina Ansaroff is going to be a very good example of that because Nina predominantly is known for her stand-up, even though her and her wife are both also Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners. That being said, Tatiana Suarez can stand the fuck up and bang. She can also do BJJ because she's a practitioner as well, but she has got a fucking devastating grappling and wrestling game that no other woman in that division, in my opinion, can hold a candle to. And I will say that Andrade's fucking weird, fucking almost badass head slam on fucking Rose might have looked cool, but that is not shit compared to what you will see Tatiana Suarez do if you start watching some film on that fucking girl. She will ragdoll women. And I think this is going to be one of those situations where the hype that I feel that Ansaroff has behind her right now, undeservedly so, is about to get ended because she's coming against what I would consider her most legitimate competition in her UFC career. And I personally do not feel that she is up to the level that Tatiana Suarez is going to set for this match to be requiring. And I think that Suarez is going to take this shit. I think she's going to, for lack of a better term, manhandle Nina Ansaroff for 2 solid rounds. And then I think in the third, when she's done playing with her food, she's going to take her fucking move and she's going to end this in mid to early third round by a submission.
Yeah, this is where there's definitely a little difference of opinion here. I don't think that there's a hype. Number one, I'm going to say this. I do not think there is a hype train on Nina Ansaroff right now at all. Period. And this is why. If you look at her about 3 or 4 fights ago, she was talking about hanging it up. Good on her. She said, if I lose my next fight, I'm done. She strung together 2, 3 wins in a row now, which is why she is where she is. Were they pretty wins? Not necessarily. Were they bad wins? No. They were wins. Now, is she finishing people every time? No. But stringing that many together in that division definitely earns you that fucking right. Now, Tatiana, yeah, she's fucking murdering people. This one is legitimately a title contention eliminator. Because you know what? Either one of these girls win this fight, they ought to be getting that next shot at Andrade. Period. Now, to start with, I do think there is a massive fucking hype train on Tatiana Suarez. It's fucking huge. However, I will say I'm on that fucking train with them, but at the same time, I like to play devil's advocate here because I love watching hype trains get fucking de-fucking railed. Why? Not because I want to see somebody lose, but because I want to see how they bounce back. Because you know what? when it comes to the UFC, there is always a bigger, badder motherfucker than you are. Whether it's they're coming behind you or they're in front of you. And to be honest, I don't think that Tatiana Suarez would beat Jessica Andrade. Do I think Nina Ansaroff would beat her? No. Neither one of these two would. I think the only one that had the chance got dumped on her fucking head because she wouldn't let go of a fucking Kimura trap. Instead of taking the fall correctly, she held onto it like a dum-dum because it worked in the fucking first round. The first time around. But that's neither here nor there. Now, with all of that being said, I think Nina is going to make this an ugly fucking fight. And by that, I mean it's not going to be what everybody thinks it is. I don't think that there is going to be a lot of fucking takedowns here. I think they're going to stand and bang because both of them can bang. However, what I will say is if Nina catches Tatiana, Tatiana's going to go to what she knows really fucks up people, and that's her fucking slams. Especially when it comes to women. Look, nothing against the women's divisions that there are in the UFC, but you don't get fucking dropped on your head like that from somebody who slams like fucking they're a female version of, dare I say it just to piss you off, DC. I'm saying, there are some fucking slams out there that she's done that are fucking phenomenal. However, I don't foresee this being one of those fights because I think they're going to stand it up. Now, do I give a fuck who Nina Ansaroff's wife is? Fuck no. To be honest, until I saw that some of the ladies in the UFC were married, I thought most of them had wives. Because a lot of them are that way, although there are the few exceptions, the Karate Hottie, Patrons, and, a couple that, well, I guess they're kind of dead giveaways in my opinion, but I don't give a fuck who her wife is. Whether you're fucking the Lioness or you're fucking Joe Schmo off the street, I don't care. That has nothing to do with your hype train. Your hype train is solely built on what you have done, in my book. Maybe everybody else looks at that. I fucking don't, because I don't give two goddams about your personal life. I'm here to see what you do in the octagon. I think she's strung together enough here where the ride that she's on, she very well could take Tatiana, but I do not think she will finish her. I think it'll be a third round decision where she's going to get her hand raised, and it's going to be fucking deadly close. Now, if it's not deadly close, it's because she got fucking knocked out or submitted. That's the only way it's going to go, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm going to give Nina the benefit of the doubt here. Say third round via close split decision.
Now, I've said it in past episodes here where I hate hype trains, but TJ said it best. There's not a hype train really around Nina. There's a hype train around fucking Tatiana. There is definitely a fucking hype around that. And I hate hype trains, but in the short time that she's been fighting in the UFC, she's put together some pretty damn good victories, whether they're down to a decision, submission, or KO, TKO. She's put it to a pretty impressive highlight reel behind her, and I can thoroughly enjoy and respect the fuck out of that because she has done some pretty good shit. But saying that, I don't think that this is going to be one of those fights fighting in the phone booth where they're just going to stand up and bang. I really don't think it's going to be that sort of fight this week. If this is going to be any type of fight, it's going to be one of those wrestle fucking fights because there's been rumors on social media that Tatiana is just not going to stand up with Nina. There's been the rumor around the good old social medias that she's just not going to do it. And regardless, with that being said, if they stand up and bang or not, I'm going with Suarez on this, strictly because she's just fucking making moves. She's fucking on a goddamn storm. So is Nina. She has put together some victories. Impressive or not, a W's a W. You fucking fought for it. You got your damn W. But I'm putting Suarez on the W on this. I'm gonna say early third into the middle of the third round for this one.
So, moving along from there, that will finish out our prelim rounds and bring us to the main card, the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes of this beautiful episode here. We are talking about UFC 238 in Chicago. They are opening this main card with a interesting, if not perplexing, but absolutely promising to be entertaining fight. And we are talking about Tai Tuivasa versus, I'm going to try this, Blagoy Ivanov, Blagoy. The dude who got stabbed in the fucking heart. That guy. So, you got to give him this. The dude took a knife to the heart. He fucking died. And he came back. He's got a hard to say name, but he's also hard to kill, apparently. So, I mean, I want to say good things about him. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt here. The problem is the gentleman, unfortunately, is just not that entertaining. Now, the opposite is true on the opposite corner here. When we talk about Tai Tuivasa, in my opinion, one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC today. Now, Tai's not the most technical guy. He doesn't have the greatest gas tank, but neither does Blagoy. He's not a very well-rounded fighter. He's not an endurance kind of guy. He's not the dude you expect to turn on in round 4 and show you championship power in 5. He's the guy that you're impressed if he's still standing up in 3. Now, Tai isn't a whole lot better than that in terms of endurance, but he does have a hell of a lot more heart, and he does, in my opinion, have a more well-rounded toolbox. Now, do I think this is going to be a beautiful technical matchup, a precision striking match? Oh, fuck no. But do I think this is going to be a Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou? No, it's not. It's not going to be that bad either. I think this is going to be somewhere Goldilocks-ish, right in the middle. I think there's going to be a definite period of lull in this fight between these two gentlemen. But I think that Tai Tuivasa's got the motivation. I think he's got the tools. I think he's just a little bit more well-rounded. And I think in this situation, we're going to be seeing a shoey at the end, because I don't think that there's going to be a finish here. I don't think either one of these gentlemen have the cardio or the conditioning right now to go finish-wise. I think this is going to be a long, heavy breathing, drawn out 3-rounder here. But I think Tai is going to take it. I think we're going to see a shoey at the end of it.
Oh, this is Battle of Dad Bods. Fucking fantastic of variety too. But I do not see this going to a decision. There is no fucking way in hell. Purely on the fact of Mr. Tai Tuivasa. That dude has Mark Hunt-esque knockout, one-shot, walk-away power. And he's displayed it on more than one occasion in the UFC already. Yeah, his last fight, he looked like shit. And he also did get caught, though. He did get caught. That was the first time he'd really been fucking caught by somebody. Albeit, look who he just lost to. No fucking slouch there at all. That's a tough fucking pull for any heavyweight in the division. I don't give a fuck who they are. But that one punch, Mark Hunt knockout power. Dude, look, no problems here with old Anov at all. You survived fucking getting stabbed in the goddamn heart. Who fucking does that? And then lives to tell about it, and then goes and fights in the fucking UFC. You were living like a fucking weird nightmare, fucking fairy tale, angry unicorn, fucking princesses shitting in castles type fucking fairy tale existence right now. But that fairy tale existence does have to come to an end. Beginning, middle of the second round. That's when the evil witch will feed you the poisoned apple and put you to sleep for all of eternity. And then she will celebrate in glorious form by walking over to the crowd and grabbing somebody's wonderful glass slipper, dumping a cold beverage into it, and pounding it back. Tai Tuivasa, beginning of the second, no later than the middle of the second. It's going to be a one-punch knockout. And if we're lucky, he's going to do it Mark Hunt style, hit him and just turn around and walk away.
Yeah, man. Tai Tuivasa all fucking day. All day. I can't say much that has already been said, but, I mean, almost all... He has a very small amount of fights that he's won by decision, and I don't see this fight going down to a decision because the guys that like TJ said, he has fucking Mark Hunt when knockout power. Fuck me if this guy does not fucking take this shit late in the first, early into the second. I don't want to see this leave the fucking 1 minute mark out of the second round. Tai Tuivasa all fucking day.
Definitely all possibilities as well here.
And because I was drawing a blank on name earlier, and it just popped into my head, he lost to Junior Dos Santos.
Yes.
If you're gonna lose to somebody, of course, that's a fucking. Dude, you fought a legend and lost. I ain't even mad, dude. You're young into the sport still. You got a lot to learn.
Absolutely. A guy as young as Tuivasa with an L to JDS, nothing to shake a fucking stick at. Absolutely. I completely agree. So moving along from there to the next battle on the main card here, we will be talking about Jimmy Rivera versus the upcomer Peter Yan. Now, again here, we're talking about a gentleman who had his soul taken from a certain bald individual who we will be discussing later on this evening with a kapow! Fucking one punch. Oh, shit, did he? Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah. So, now, I'm not going to say Jimmy Rivera is bad because obviously you made it to the UFC. You're ranked in the fucking top 15. There's something to it. On the same token, though, if you look at Jimmy's losses, they're all devastating. And not to take away from the gentlemen who have stopped Jimmy, but not all of them were particularly difficult to achieve either. Jimmy does not really have the greatest of chin, and he really doesn't seem to have that great a defense lately either. And then when you start looking over across the octagon at Peter Yan, that gentleman is on a motherfucking tear these days. And he is one of those scary knockout strong guys in the lower division, in the little guy division. The power that Yan carries with him through his fight, it's terrifying. It's almost like a little guy Derek Lewis, because at any point in that match, if he catches you with that one solid shot, he'll put you to fucking sleep. And for a guy like Jimmy, who's got a bad fucking chin and weak defense to begin with, coming up against a guy who is hot as fucking lava, young to the UFC, and hungry as shit, this is not a good matchup for Jimmy, in my opinion here. I think Peter Yan's going to put Jimmy to fucking sleep in the first. I don't think this sees a second round. I think Peter puts Jimmy on the fucking canvas before the first bell.
I'm not even going to say anything except for I second that motion. Pass. Does the motion pass? We need a third.
The notion is passed. Fucking court is adjourned, motherfuckers. Yeah, dude. Like fucking Peter Yan is doing some fucking damage as of late. Jimmy's gonna have to fucking pray for a goddamn miracle that he fucking walks out of the goddamn octagon on Saturday. He's gonna have to hope and pray. Because Peter Yan is gonna put a fucking hurt to him.
You know, there was something I did just think about. Peter Yan reminds me of Japanese anime characters. When you look at him, he's chiseled to the fucking T, and it looks like somebody drew extra veins on his fucking skin.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And he uses it too. It's not like he's one of those dudes that's just yoked for show. Peter Yan uses that shit because when you can see every fiber and every muscle tense the fuck up as he's coming to take your fucking being out of your body.
I think my favorite thing about him, though, he's fucking bantamweight. There's people that fucking bantamweights aren't like that. He's like a fucking abnormality in nature. Yeah, and it's fun to watch.
Yes, the fuck it is. He's tiny and he's terrifying, and I fucking love it. So, moving along from that one here, we will come down and talk about probably the fight I am both most excited to see on this card and most upset that is even fucking taking place, period. We are talking about Tony El Cucuy Ferguson versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. This, again, is a title contender eliminator fight, as said by both Cowboy and Tony, and then confirmed yesterday afternoon by Dana White talking to Brett Okamoto for ESPN. The winner of this fight gets the next crack at the title, whether it be Dustin or Khabib holding it. Now, that being said, during his time doing press with Brett Okamoto for ESPN, Cowboy has made it known that he has a gut feeling that after he wins this fight against Tony, that when September comes around, because they did announce that Khabib versus Dustin Poirier is going to take place in September in Abu Dhabi, eye roll of the fucking century, that Cowboy has a feeling that either Khabib or Dustin is going to get injured before that fight, and the UFC is going to call is going to call Cowboy to step in after the victory from Tony and take the place and then fight for the belt itself in September. I'm not saying that's out of the realm of possibilities, but oh motherfucker, would that not be spectacular to see the Cowboy fly to the Middle East and beat Khabib in Abu Dhabi? Because I absolutely believe if they match up, Cowboy would fuck Khabib up. He's got the defense to stop that Dagestani wrestle fucking, and his striking is on a level that Khabib has never motherfucking seen. And I don't just mean his punch striking. I mean Cowboy from everywhere. His fucking Muay Thai, his boxing, his fucking just straight up MMA striking. I think that would be a big fucking problem for Khabib. But that aside, we'll talk about that shit later when we see some of that shit on Shake. What we're talking about now is this fucking blasphemy of Tony Ferguson versus Cowboy Cerrone. Now, this is a fucking weird matchup from any angle you look at it here. Whether it be because Tony has been out for a little over a year with the exception of his fight against Pettis, with both a devastating physical injury and then a very, very serious mental episode. In my opinion, the division moved on from where Tony stepped out of line. And I don't believe that Tony should have been able to, after all this time and these extenuating circumstances, to step right back into title contention. I think that after being out for that long and dealing with all of the incredibly serious things that he dealt with, I feel that he should have had more than just that Pettis fight as a tune-up to jump back into the top of the stack. On the other side of that coin, I feel that with all the fucking work that Dad Cowboy has put in 2018 and 2019 and the fucking fire that is in that man's belly right now, him having to fight Tony instead of just already being the next title contender is an insult to both the rankings, the fans, and the fucking organization itself, because Cowboy has been the UFC's go-to guy for years. He has always been known as the when is it, I'll be there guy. Didn't matter who, didn't matter where. Call him, he's showing up, and he's fucking fighting. And a dude that has always done that and always put on great performances, holds the record for most finishes, for most fights in the fucking UFC, should get a little more respect than this, in my opinion. That being said, the weirdness that Tony Ferguson presents in his style, the unorthodox strikes, that 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, that fucking insane fluid rubber guard that Tony Ferguson can throw at you, is a problem for everyone. But on the same hand, have you fucking seen Dad Cowboy? Holy shit. Cerrone's striking is crisper than it has ever been. His fucking kicks are cleaner and sharper and less telegraphed than they have ever been. His takedown defense is more on point than we have ever fucking seen. And his ground game is fucking terrifying. Cowboy is dangerous from everywhere right now. And he's got the endurance to be dangerous from everywhere for 5 fucking rounds if he has to. Even though this is only 3 because it's not the main event, he has the ability to do everything that he does on championship level for championship rounds. I don't know that Ferguson will be able to quite counter the puzzle that is Cowboy. Whereas I think from Cowboy's perspective, he's got a little bit more of a fight IQ. He's a little more used to unorthodox styles because his is a little more unorthodox as well. I think that Cowboy is going to be able to figure out the puzzle that is El Cucuy, because we have seen time and time again, especially just in this fucking Pettis fight, Tony is willing to put himself in danger if he thinks it will give him an advantage in the long run. And you just cannot do that with Donald Cerrone. He is too dangerous, he is too precise, and he is too fucking strong. And then you add on top of that the whole Dad Cowboy factor. He is undefeated since his son has been born, and you can noticeably see a difference in the yearning in his eyes for that belt. There is a difference in the Cowboy that we have come to know and love in the man that we see in the octagon today. And I think that that fire is going to be more than hot enough to burn through El Cucuy. I think Cowboy takes this one, but I think this one's going to be late. I think this is going to be late, mid to end of the 3rd round. I think it's going to be close because it's going to be an early banger. There's going to be a little bit of a feel-out period, but it's not going to be much, and I think it's going to be weird shit all the way across the board from both sides, but I think Cowboy comes out on top in the 3rd.
Oh, where to fucking begin here in this hot mess? I guess to start with, why the all right, no, let me back myself up here before I go off. First and foremost, I have nothing but good things to say about El Cucuy, Tony Ferguson. However, how the fuck is this fight happening? Why? And I know why this fight is happening. Because Donald Cerrone, God bless him, and his son, all of that wonderful jazz that goes with it, has always been a company man. After his last win, he just said, I want one of 2 things. Either a title fight or fucking Conor. Conor we knew wasn't going to happen. The title fight fucking should have. He should have been getting the winner of Poirier and fucking Khabib Russell, fuck Dagestani bastard. But what happened was he's fucking doing his thing. He was down in Mexico, he said. Got a text from, Dana White. Hey, you want to fight in a couple of weeks? Are you healthy? How's your endurance? Yes, it's good, yada yada. Didn't even tell him who he was fighting. And he said, it's going to be Tony Ferguson. He said, okay, because That's Donald Cerrone. Yes. So here we are with this fucked up matchup that I don't think should be happening right now. Cerrone should only be having one of two fights right now, and it should have either been Conor, which we knew wasn't going to happen because Conor is, well, he wants money fights, and I get it. He's to the point in his career where he can do that. However, that has fallen off too. He needs to win a fight so he can get back to that whole. But his mouth keeps him in check, which perfectly fine. On the other side of that, cheers to him for his proper 12 because it's fantastic. But back to this fight here. I'm so pissed at this. I love both of these fighters. I really do. I love El Cucuy. I love Cerrone. Either one of them can kick the shit out of old wrestle fuck Dagestani bastard himself. But I have a really hard time calling a winner on this, purely on this strange, I can't call it strangeness, the stylistic matchup that it is. Two weird fucking fighters fighting each other weirdly. But the whole Dad Cerrone thing, that really has come into play quite strongly lately. Now, I watched a presser with Tony Ferguson earlier where he goes, yeah, we're both dads. That doesn't mean anything. Tony's been dad for quite some time. This is new territory for Donald Cerrone. Guess what? That new factor, that means a whole lot. That makes a whole lot of difference. That changed my aspect on life early on really quick when I had my son. Don't get me wrong. Now I'm to the point where like, yeah, I'm a dad because my little guy's been around for fucking 4 years now. So it's kind of in that Tony Ferguson realm where yes, I'm a dad. So what? Cerrone, he's still in that what I'm going to call the honeymoon phase with having the kid because it's still new. He's still learning. He's still getting all the feelers out there. But he's also got something else that Tony doesn't. He has a drive right now because of that. And I think that's what's going to make the difference in this fight. I don't think it's going to go to the third round, though. I think Cerrone's going to finish him because he really wants that fucking title. He's even said it. He's changed his mindset from, yeah, I just want to fight to, or from, I just want to fight, I don't care about the title, to, yes, I'm going to fight, but I want the fucking title. That's his goal right now. And with that son that he's trying to impress, he wants to have that on his mantelpiece so that way when the kid's growing up, he has something to look up to and go, yeah, my dad wasn't just a guy who just fought and fought well, but he beat the best of the best and got the strap. That's a whole different being right there. He's on a completely different level right now. I hate to say, but Tony Ferguson, I don't think is going to outlast this storm. I think it's going to end up being finished mid to late second round. After I figured probably it's going to be like a minute and a half of in the first round of feel out, maybe 2 minutes, and then they're really going to fucking go at it. But I think Donald Cerrone is going to end up picking Tony Ferguson apart. Had you asked me this question about 2 years ago, I would have said no way in fucking hell. But right now, there is a whole different just level of Donald Cerrone that's fucking crazy right now. 2 years ago, though, I think Tony Ferguson would have picked him apart. Right now, there's no way in fucking hell that he holds a candle to Donald Cerrone right now. And it's not that he can't. He definitely can, and he can still beat the best of the best, but I don't think he's going to have what it takes with the whole new dad mentality of Donald Cerrone. And the drive for the belt that he has. Tony Ferguson's won the interim before. He's been there. This is a new drive that Donald has. He never had it before. That's a dangerous combination. New dad, plus you have a drive for the belt finally. Oh, dude. And not to mention, he looks so fluid and crisp in every one of his last 3-4 fights now. Where that coming back to this weight division was the best thing in the fucking world for him. When he was up there playing around a weight class higher, he even said it. He was playing around. He wasn't really fucking focused. He was like, whatever. He was just fighting. That's why he had fucking a couple of bad fights, or he ended up with somebody fucking liver kicking him and calling it a day. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm saying mid to late second round, Donald Cerrone wins this. And I'm going to say with a knockout.
So I'm not going to get into the if this fight should be a thing, because fucking the greatness that is Cerrone doesn't fucking deserve this. I have two things that I have a problem with. So first off, if you look at Vegas odds right now, how the fuck is Tony Ferguson a 74% fucking winner on this fight? That's not right. And two, how the fuck are you gonna put somebody on a level like this, fighting somebody as fucking just dominant and fucking aggressive as Donald Cerrone, when the guy just had a horrible fucking just mental fuckery? You can't do that. That's not okay. You're about to send this man back to the fucking hospital because his pride won't let him stop. He like TJ said, he will go out and put his fucking everything on the line if he thinks that it can put him in a better position later on in the fight. Dude, you're fucking Dana. You're about to send this guy back to the fucking hospital. You're about to kill this man. Like, how the fuck are you about to do that? That's just fucking retarded. You can't schedule somebody with this sort of fighter and expect them to be right back into it, and they haven't fought for over a year. That's just not gonna fucking happen, man. But that being said, Donald, motherfucking Cerrone, knock this shit out of the park and go get your fucking title, dude.
I agree completely. I think this is the point where Cowboy comes in, he proves why he deserves his fucking title shot, and then he sits back and he waits for it. So, excuse me. That, ladies and gentlemen, will bring us to the co-main event of the evening and one of the most exciting fights on the card here. Valentina Bullet Shevchenko versus Jessica Evil Eye for the ladies' 125-pound belt. Now, I'm going to start by saying this. I have nothing against Jessica Eye whatsoever. I think she's a great fighter. I think she has a lot of potential. I think she's got a bright future in the UFC. That being said, especially as shown through the UFC Embedded series this week, Jessica Eye has a lot of issues when it comes to her camp. She doesn't really have a head coach. She doesn't really have a training regimen. She doesn't really have a home camp. She's kind of a floater, and she did most of this camp for this fight at the UFC PI under the guidance of Gray Maynard, who, to be fair, you could not ask for a better fucking mentor as a UFC fighter. That man set the fucking bar in a lot of ways in the UFC. He is absolutely and undeniably a fucking pioneer of not only the UFC, but mixed martial arts in general. Gray Maynard deserves every bit of respect that anyone has to give. And to have him personally working with you, like you see, he's right there with her. He's training with her. He's showing her moves. He's helping her adapt her game. That's a great thing to have. But you can't live at the PI. Gray Maynard is not your head coach. At the end of the day, you need a camp. You need your camp. And Jessica Eye doesn't have that. On the other side of the octagon, you've got Valentina Shevchenko, 17-time world Muay Thai champion, 4-time winner against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, one of the scariest women in the 115-pound division and in the women's UFC in general. This woman has been a martial artist since she was a child. She was born into the combat lifestyle, into the combat sport lifestyle. There's no quit in her. There's no flinch in her. This woman is bred for success in combat sports. And 125 is where she has decided to make her home. I don't see any woman in the UFC in any weight class that poses any problem to Valentina Shevchenko. I think if she wanted to, she could hold this 125-pounder. She could go back up, rematch Amanda, beat Amanda's ass, because I believe she did beat Amanda in both of their other decision-drawn matches. She could go back up, fight Amanda, go for that 135-pound belt. If she felt froggy, eat some fucking steak and go take that 145-pound belt from Amanda, and then skinny back up and go take that 115 from Andrade and hold all fucking four. I honestly believe Valentina is that badass of a woman and that competent and intelligent and able of a fighter. But what she's doing is she's making that 125er home. And I think as determined and as eager as Jessica I is, you can see she's in a great place. I don't think she understands the difference in the levels between her and Valentina. Because realistically speaking, Valentina is on a whole nother level than any other woman in the UFC as a whole, in my opinion. And I think it's going to take a fucking train to get that belt off of Valentina's waist. And Jessica doesn't have that train behind her, I think, and still in the second.
Oh, that... I think you nailed just about every point I was going to make. Just about. However, there was one thing that did pop into my head when you said she was born into it. I really wish I could do a fantastic Bane impression right now. Because one of the greatest things just popped into my head. Jessica I, you live the combat lifestyle. But Valentina was born into it. My thoughts was, I was thinking Bane the whole way, but I can't do fucking Bane, otherwise I would have, and it would have been glorious. Till then, you guys think about it in Bane's voice. Yeah, Jessica I, look, there's one glaring problem I have with Jessica I right now. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go watch the embedded one. I think it's number 4, where she brought out her new chant. It's fucking garbage. Get the fuck out of here. You can do better than that. You're a much better fighter than that. But that's the one glaring problem I have with you right now. Yeah, you've earned your shot. You definitely have. I will give you that 100%. However, this is going from the kiddie pool to the fucking 20-meter diving board. That's a huge fucking jump right now for you. I think you'll hang in there for a couple rounds. But I think eventually what's going to happen is you're going to end up getting knocked out. Probably late third, early fourth. Not because I don't think you can't go to championship rounds, but I think you're also going to end up having an adrenaline dump on this because you've never been at this type of level before, nor have you gone to championship rounds before. So, that being said, it is still going to be and still Valentina Shevchenko, and I think she's going to do it with fucking hands. I really do, because she's got that fucking stand-up hands. She doesn't throw a lot of power, but she throws a lot. And you know what? A lot adds up. Especially, even, look, it's like getting bit by one mosquito. That's not really bad. But if you stay the night in the woods with no fucking repellent or mosquito netting, you're going to come out of there looking like you just ran through a fucking briar because you're going to be covered in bumps. I'm just saying, you're gonna end up with quite a few bumps and bruises here, and possibly a headache for a couple of weeks. Hopefully, nothing more than that. But it's gonna be a TKO victory, late third, early fourth.
So since you made the reference to Bane, go out and buy yourself Pringles and keep a Pringles can next to your computer for like the next thing, because a can of Pringles, an empty Pringles can, it makes a great Bane impression, regardless of the voice. Try it sometime.
I don't want to know why you know that.
Fucking long drunken nights in Florida, man. Other than that, like, so fucking with my new computer, I can like put some statistics together and make a percentage based off of it, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this. My only problem is with Valentina's background of being a fucking outstanding submission artist. She has a 97% decision victors. How the fuck are you gonna be a 4-time submission champion, but your decisions are 97%? That's you need to work on that. You really need to work on that, because that does not add up. You need to go back home, do some deep thinking, and fucking get your shit together and really bring it home with those fucking championships that you have on your shelf, because I'm sure you have those bitches fucking mounted somewhere. You need to really do some work and bring that shit back home. Other than that, Valentina, she is fucking outstanding, even with the shit that I just said about her. Her submission game is great. She's not super strong and knockout power, but she can put a hurting on you, and you don't need to be strong to put somebody out. You get a good combination together, and you can put some damage on somebody. But Valentina, going with that, and still, I would like to see this not leave the third round. Now, I don't even want to see this leave the second. I don't want this out of the fucking second round, because Valentina over here is putting some fucking work in lately. Valentina, all fucking day.
I agree, and I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I don't think this is going to be an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination here. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I just think that there's levels to this shit, man. And as much as Jessica might be feeling herself right now, she's just, in my opinion, she's just not on that fucking level of a bullet, because god damn it, Valentina isn't fucking just terrifying in what she can fucking do. But that being said, that is going to bring us to the main event of the evening, unfortunately. We are talking about one Henry CRINGEjudo versus Magic Marlon Moraes, One Punch Man himself, for the vacant 135-pound men's belt in the UFC. Now, this is another one of those fights that I both understand and I don't. Marlon Moraes, without any fucking question, absolutely and unequivocally deserves to be fighting for this belt, whether TJ still had it or it's vacant. I believe Marlon is the man that would be standing on this side of the octagon one way or the other. He has absolutely earned it, and I think it's pretty evident why he's there. Now, CRINGEjudo on the other side, with his fucking crown and Game of Thrones cloak at the fucking face-offs, like a douchebag, the magic hat that he pulled fucking props out of like a 5th grade elementary school fucking talent show. Are you fucking kidding me, Henry? I don't know what bothers me more at this point. The fucking full tilt cringe level of Henry Cejudo, or the fucking sunglasses of Tony Ferguson. Day, night, indoor, outdoor, doesn't fucking matter. You hurt your fucking leg like that, take your goddamn sunglasses off. That being said, the 135-pound belt cannot collect dust. Should not collect dust. TJ got stripped. That shit's back up in the air. I love that the UFC is immediately putting that shit back into fucking play. What I don't love is that Henry Cejudo is getting to come right up and challenge for it after the glorious shit show that was EPO TJ coming down to 125 in a fucking weird, arguably questionable fucking stoppage at the fucking contest for the 125 belt. Now, I understand Dana has said multiple times he loves to see guys wanting to hold multiple belts nowadays because that's more competition. And Henry has said that he wants to try and catch the 135 and then defend both 125 and 135 at the same time. Yada fucking yada, yankety yank. Here's your cab fare. Get the fuck out of my face. No. Shut your fucking mouth, you cringy little piece of shit. I'm so fucking tired of Henry Cejudo and his bullshit, unearned, undeserved, fucking cringe fest fame that he is leaning headlong into. I don't believe that Henry beat DJ. I don't believe that Henry beat TJ. I don't believe that Henry has a fucking chance to beat Marlon. Marlon is more than TJ was. Marlon is more than DJ was. Marlon is the fucking man at 135, in my opinion. And I know it's going to catch some flack, but the way that I see it, as the way things stand right now, the only person that could contest Marlon, in my eyes, at 135 would possibly be Peter Yan. But that's something that we'll have to wait and see a little down the road. For right now, I think that this matchup, CringeJudo versus Moraes, I think we are looking at and new for the Magic Man. I think OnePunchMan is going to come out with that yoke fucking frame, them crazy goddamn shapely fucking biceps, and a belt around his fucking waist to take home. I think Henry is getting sent back down to 125 to shut his fucking mouth and play in his fucking playground and stay out of the bigger boys' realm. And I think Marlon's going to do it by knocking him the fuck out in the third. I'm hoping anyways. What do you guys think?
I'm going to start with two things here. One, but does he have a gold medal? Just because I'm sick of fucking hearing that.
I did. I apologize. I did forget to mention that Henry Cejudo also does have an Olympic gold medal.
Okay. And now that fucking shit's out of the way. Now, as you were saying, going back down to his playground, that's why he came up with those fucking third grade props, because that's where he fucking belongs. Here's a little strange caveat. That's away from this fight. This is the only reason that I would hope that Cejudo would win. And that's because I would love to see Peter Yan get a piece of him. And maybe we'd get lucky and get another video of somebody's soul leaving their body, getting on a plane, getting their baggage, and going home. Because that's where that motherfucker belongs. Look, I get why they put this fight together. Yes, he had to fight with TJ. He said he wants to come up and run two divisions. Look, whatever happened to if you have one belt, you have to pick one to defend, and we're going to strip you of the other. I like that idea better. In all honesty, I have nothing against you winning multiple weight classes, but you have to actively be able to defend those belts. Minimum, once a year apiece. At a bare minimum. But the way that they're rolling out fucking pay-per-views now where they have a title defense on each pay-per-view, that means you're probably going to have to do it more than once a year. But for this one, albeit a fucking Olympic wrestler or not, I just don't see him winning this because, look, TJ, that's a whole different fucking animal. That's a lippy little cocksucker who got caught up doing what a lot of people thought he was doing, and he just finally got busted for it. However, you did technically beat him. For those of you that are just listening, there are air quotes going on here. because he obviously wasn't out, but that's neither here nor there. So I really just don't foresee Cejudo pulling the magic rabbit out of his hat, because it's just not going to happen. He's going to get KTFO. For those of you who don't know, that's not the fuck out. I say if I've got this right, I'm thinking second round. Is you know what? Just do yourselves a favor and go listen to Bombs Over Baghdad. That'll do it for you. You'll understand why. But he's gonna get knocked out. And if we're lucky, it's in such a dramatic fashion that we get a fantastic edit. Because I really want to see that guy's soul leave his body and never come back. If we're lucky, they'll do an edit where he goes and puts on a spacesuit with his soul, gets in a rocket ship, and blasted into the fucking sun because he ain't never coming back. Go back down to fucking 80 little tiny fellas. Save that 125 division because they do need somebody to save it right now. I'm not even gonna lie about that. There needs to be a savior at 125. And right now, you're the dude down there, so just go handle business down there, run the show, make 125 look good. But stop talking about your goddamn fucking medal. You're in the UFC. We don't give a fuck about your gold medal. We give a fuck about what's going on in the octagon. It's not that you haven't done great things for the U.S. You won a gold medal for the United States of America. Good on you, son. How many years ago was that? That was quite a few goddamn years ago. That's all I'm saying. Look, it's okay to bring up your past, but don't live in that shit. Live in the moment. Like, live in the moment now that you're getting a peaceful night's rest today. You probably won't get one tomorrow because you're going to be thinking about the fight. That goes with all fighters. I get that. But at least enjoy your peaceful night tonight. Because tomorrow you're going to have a rough night of sleep. But Saturday, you're going to have a really, really bad night of sleep. Well, you might not remember what kind of sleep it was, but it's going to be bad. And I can't wait to see it. However, if you do win, please make this happen. Make Peter Yan his next fight, just because I know that little motherfucker will. Bye-bye. He will send your ass to outer space quicker than shit. You'll hit that farthest edge of the galaxy we didn't even know existed. Yeah. Late second round. Knockout. Moraes is coming home and new. Yes, the discount double check variety.
All right, so to put a better phrase to what TJ said, in the UFC, we care about the gold around your waist, not the gold around your neck. Because you can go fuck yourself. But other than that, man. Also on that note, Henry carry around a mouthpiece, like a really good dual shock mouthpiece that really covers up the top and bottom. Whenever you want to talk about the fucking gold medal, just pop your mouthpiece in so we can't understand what the fuck you're saying, dude. Jesus fuck. Okay. Outside of that, I'm just gonna get down to it. Fucking Henry, go to 125. Run the 125 division. You are out of your fucking. You're out of your realm. You don't even belong in the bantamweight. You just. It's not that you don't have it. It's that the people there have too much that you don't. People there have too much fucking speed, too much fucking strength. There's just too much going on, and you won't be able to keep up, even if you were fucking mint and started out at being a fucking bantamweight fighter. You just don't have it cut out for you there. Your home is the fucking 125. fucking stick there and enjoy your ride to fucking Jupiter, because your ass is getting fucking launched into another dimension tomorrow, sir. Fucking Moraes, get in there, fucking make the fucking glory, the gloriousness and the fucking great edit of you wearing the One Punch Man outfit. Make that a fucking thing and send this man to fucking Jupiter. Jesus, fuck, I want to see that edit. Fuck everything else. Fucking crop in the One Punch Man fucking jumpsuit on fucking Marilyn Moraes and fucking have fun. Moraes and new. Don't want to see this leave the second. Don't want to leave the second.
When you said another dimension, I just want to add this. He's about to quantum leap.
God damn it.
You're out of your element, Donnie.
And you know, some of our younger generation may not get that reference. So if you don't know what quantum leap is, go back and look it up, and you'll understand that reference.
Sam should be able to tell you.
I am fucking 22. I just turned 24, and I know that reference. You can go fuck yourself.
I'm impressed. Were you in diapers when that show was on?
Right? But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be all of the fights that we have to talk about this wonderful evening. So we are going to start wrapping this up here. And please remember that if you have enjoyed any of the shenanigans we have wandered through, any of the shit that we have talked, if you have appreciated any of the opinions that we have given throughout this episode, please consider giving us a thumbs up, maybe even a subscribe if we really tickled your fucking fancy, maybe even share this video to help us grow the show. On the other side of that coin, though, if you think we're just a couple of dipshits sitting around talking out our ass in front of a couple of webcams, we deserved it. Go ahead and give us that thumbs down. I won't dispute it a bit. But that's all we've got for this evening. So before we take it all the way out of here, let's walk around real quick and let the folks know. Now, if someone were to say, I don't know, decide that they were going to try and move up to Ohio and become a UFC fighter, and they wanted to know where that path should start, how would a person go about getting a hold of you to get a little more follow-up on that, RJ?
I mean, first off, you can find me on Instagram at RJ__vapes. And if you have that notion, you got another thing coming, because I'm really sorry, because that whole realm of Ohio is pretty good and covered right now. So good luck to you, but you can find me at RJ Vapes, RJ__vapes on the Instagrams. And yeah, it was great being back on the gloriousness that is I'm No Joe. Been fucking missing it in the past few weeks. Good to be back, man.
Thank you very much for being here, brother. Always appreciate your time. Now, if someone were to say, I don't know, want to have a conversation about, UFC and the Packers, how would they go about reaching you and having such a conversation there, TJ?
Well, it depends on what kind of options they're talking about and what they want to talk about. But you got a couple different ones. You can come hang out with me on Wednesday nights when we have our live show. You can talk about anything you want there, whether it's fucking UFC, Packers, the Bears fucking themselves, people shitting the bed, whatever the case may be. That's on YouTube. And it's Golf T Vapes on YouTube there, 9:30 Central Time. Otherwise, you can email me at Gmail, same name, Golf T Vapes, and that's TEE for those of you who think I'm just using the letter T. You can also catch me on the Instagrizzles from time to time. I don't really do a lot on there, but you can message me on there, and I will get back to you when I see it, because I don't have notifications on that turned on. But on that, fucking find me on YouTube, because you know what? I'm always there every fucking Wednesday night, guaranteed, like clockwork.
Well, thank you very much again for your time, brother. Much appreciated here. Always love having both of you gentlemen alongside here with me to break down these fights and give your inputs here. Always do love having a couple of other intelligent minds to bounce some fight thoughts of. But that's all we've got for this evening. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Have a great night, folks.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought with expert timing. There were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up, they were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part. From a fainting to a slip, and a kicking from the hip. Everybody was